everyone. Welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And it's story time.
Yay!
It's day one, part one of our 3-day story time. And this is an interesting one because we're going to read the story, just a normal story, about a little old woman who lived in a shoe. Now, I remember this as a nursery rhyme.
Yes, me too.
There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do.
Yes.
And of course, as a rhyme, the words kind of sound the same, shoe and do. But we're just going to read the story, and this story has so much more than the simple nursery rhyme does.
Yes, I never knew that there was a story, honestly, because like you said, there was a nursery rhyme, and that's the only thing that I had heard. I don't even really remember it, but I remember she lived in a shoe with a lot of kids.
That's exactly.
That's what I remember.
There you go. And we're going to learn more about it, so that will be interesting. But of course, the main thing about a lady and her kids living in a shoe, that's right, you read it correctly. The shoe is their home. We're going to still have that in our story. So there's a lot to read. Let's get to it. A little old woman lived in a nice house with her big family. Once, when she wasn't home, a mean giant from a castle nearby came. He ruined the house and took her husband.
Okay, so today we are going to look at part one of our story, and that title is The Little Old Woman Who Lived in a Shoe. So we're going to find out, was it a really big shoe or was it a really little woman? Let's see. If we start, we see a little old woman lived in a nice house with her big family. Once, when she wasn't home, a mean giant from a castle nearby came. So she is at home, and uh-oh, a mean giant. Well, the problem is she wasn't at home. She had gone to the shops. Oh, she wasn't.
She had gone to 7-Eleven. And that's right, a mean giant came by. Now, most giants in stories like this are not nice. Most of them are mean.
Yes, and so mean is an adjective that means not nice. You might say something that hurts your feelings. They might maybe pick on you or do something that hurts you either emotionally or physically. So if they punch you, that's also mean.
So mean.
Yes. So this giant was very mean.
That's right. Cruel, bad, nasty, not kind and gentle and caring, but the other things, of course, monsters, bad guys in stories, they're famous for being mean, among them, giants. Now here we're using giant as a noun, not as an adjective. You could have a giant pizza. Taipei 101 is a giant building. It's really, really big. But when we use it as a noun and talk about a giant, we're kind of talking about a character from a nursery rhyme or a fairy tale or a story. Giants are just really, really big people. People that are much larger than normal people. I guess you could say that NBA players are giants, but not really. They're just very tall. Giants in stories are much bigger than that, as big as a tall tree or a big building, and they're mean, they're nasty, sometimes they have a treasure, and they also often live in castles.
Yes.
I never could figure out, how did the giant get a castle, and can he still go inside? He's a giant.
Well, maybe it's a giant castle.
That could be. That could be.
So we had this word castle, which is a noun, and this is a really big, maybe you could even call it a house, but usually it's a really big building, and the point of a castle is to be able to protect the people inside. So usually there are walls, there might be towers. A lot of times there's water that goes around the castle to make sure that everybody inside is safe. And usually a king or a queen, they might live in the castle. So you can kind of see that a lot of the castles you might go visit are from way long ago when there were kings and queens more often in many, many places.
That's right. Of course, after they had guns and bombs to knock down the walls, castles were not so useful. But you can still see them. There's cool Japanese castles like in Kumamoto or Osaka. And of course, Europe is filled with old castles that people have not lived in for hundreds of years. But you can still see them. No giants, though. No giants. But if you did have a castle nearby, you would not want to have a giant nearby, too. That would mean that the castle and the giant are close to you. Nearby is an adjective. It means close, not far. It's not far away or a long distance. A simple way of thinking it, no matter where you are in Taiwan, there's probably a convenience store nearby.
True.
Somewhere not too far away. All right, so there's a giant. He lives in a castle, and he's kind of like a neighbor of this old lady and her family. Not a good neighbor. So one day the giant was feeling very angry and mean, and he came along and we read he ruined the house and took her husband. Oh my God! The giant came along, kicked the house, maybe sat down on the house and crushed it under him, and he also took away or kidnapped or stole this lady's husband. So her husband is gone and her house is totally gone as well.
Yes, I would say that counts as a very, very bad neighbor.
That is a terrible giant.
Yes, and so he ruined the house. So ruin is a verb, and it means to break or destroy or wreck something. So you can obviously here we have a house that has been ruined by the giant, but you also maybe you had a birthday party outside and it started raining. Then your birthday party was ruined by the rain. So this ruin word can be used in lots of different ways to mean destroy, break, wreck. Everything is ruined, everything is terrible. So this is a good word to use in those situations.
Yeah, a ruined house, you'll have to rebuild it. A ruined birthday party, maybe just do it next year.
Wait till
and if
next
you
year.
put too much salt in your cake, salty cake, it's been ruined. We'll have to get a new one. You can't use it anymore. Well, we would ruin this article by continuing to talk, so we won't. We'll take a break, and then we'll be back. When the old woman returned, she couldn't believe her eyes. She also couldn't find her husband anywhere. So she and her many children went in search of him. They didn't find him, but they did find a giant shoe. Everyone cried. After that, the old woman and her family took shelter in the shoe. Okay, welcome back. So, the old woman who lived in a shoe. Well, at the beginning of the story, she didn't live in a shoe.
No.
She lived in a nice house with her family, her husband, and a mean giant as her neighbor. And the problem started when the woman went out to the store to go shopping or something. The giant came along, knocked down, ruined her house, and stole, kidnapped, took away her husband. So in one little trip to the store, the woman's whole life was changed. And we pick up our story at that moment. When the old woman returned, she couldn't believe her eyes. She just went to get some tomatoes. and now she comes home and she doesn't even have a kitchen, a home, or a husband. This is not a way to return to your happy house, because return is to come back from a journey. When you leave your home in the morning, maybe just to go to school or go to work, at the end of the day, when school's over, when work is done, when you finish the movie, whatever you were doing outside your home, you will come home again, you will go back, you will return. So she came home, she returned to find everything bad.
Yes, it'd be hard to even say she came home since there was no home.
Good point.
But, so we continue reading to see what did she do next. So it says, she also couldn't find her husband anywhere. So maybe she thought that, oh no, the house collapsed, but the husband ran away and would come back. That was not what happened. She did not see him anywhere. So she and her many children went in search of him. They said, okay, we need to find our dad. Let's go look. And they all went out on a search to try to find him.
Yeah, I guess that's some good news. She has a big family, many children, so they can all work hard to find their father, find her husband. But as hard as they looked, they had no success. They didn't find him. They didn't find the father, the husband, but they did find a giant shoe. A giant shoe coming off of a giant. That might be his shoe. We know it could be his shoe because here it's described as giant using the adjective I mentioned earlier. A giant is a really big person or monster in a story. If you say something is giant, you're just saying it's really, really big. The 747 is a giant airplane. It's really, really big. Russia or Canada, these are giant countries. They're really, really large. And of course, a blue whale is a giant animal. It's a very, very large animal.
Yes, and so they saw this giant shoe, and this is what they did next. Well, everyone cried. Yeah, which I think I might cry too if my husband was gone, my house was ruined, and in place of that was a giant shoe. So now I know that I have to go deal with a giant to get my family back.
Or you'll never see your father, because if the giant was there and took him away, he's not coming home. So sad.
Yes. So we continue reading. We see after that, the old woman and her family took shelter in the shoe. So they don't have a house, but they are going to make the best of this situation, and they're going to kind of borrow this gigantic shoe and go in and turn it into their house.
Okay, well, it's a sad ending for the lady and her family, but I feel a little bit happy because in the nursery rhyme, they don't explain why. I always thought she's just a weird lady who lives in a shoe. Why does she do that? Now we know why. Yes. Because her husband was taken and the giant who stole him away left his giant shoe to move into. And we're going to find out more about all of these things. The shoe, the lady, the kids, the husband, the giant. If the shoe smells really bad, we'll learn all that tomorrow. So please come back and join us for that. Until then, bye-bye. A little old woman lived in a nice house with her big family. Once, when she wasn't home, a mean giant from a castle nearby came. He ruined the house and took her husband. When the old woman returned, she couldn't believe her eyes. She also couldn't find her husband anywhere. So she and her many children went in search of him. They didn't find him, but they did find a giant shoe. Everyone cried. After that, the old woman and her family took shelter in the shoe.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 giant 名词巨人。It's a story about a giant who lives in a castle alone. 这是一个关于独居在城堡里的一个巨人的故事。Giant 也可以是形容词，意思是巨大的。There is a giant photo of the actor on the wall. 墙上有一张这位演员的巨大照片。下一个单字 castle 名词城堡。Karen lives in an old castle in France. Karen 住在法国的一座古堡里。下一个单字 ruin 动词摧毁毁坏。The earthquake ruined several buildings in this area. 地震摧毁了这地区的几座大楼。Earthquake 就是地震。最后一个单字 return 动词返回。Emma's dog left home 2 years ago and has never returned. Emma 的狗2年前离家出走，至今没有回来。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 A can't find B anywhere。A 到处找都找不到 B。副词 anywhere 用于否定句时，表示任何地方。我们来看看这个例句。
Have you seen Fluffy? I can't find my wolf spider anywhere.
What, a wolf spider? Why do you have that?
Because it's cute?
No, it's not. Ew.
Of course it
Find
is.
it. Ew.
下一个文法 in search of 加名词寻找什么东西。Search 是名词，表示搜寻、搜查的意思。我们来看看这个例句。Larry looked around the park in search of his dog. Larry 在公园里四处寻找他的狗。最后一个文法 take shelter 避难、躲避。Shelter 指的是躲避处、避难所，它的后面可以加上 in， 再接躲避的地点。我们来看看这个例句。Many homeless people take shelter in the subway stations during winter. 冬天时，许多游民在地铁站里避寒。Homeless 就是无家可归的。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见喽，拜拜。
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Winnie.
And today we're playing Guess the Bear, a game where we each have 3 cards, 2 sentences on each, and a word or phrase in each sentence has been replaced by the word bear. We each have 1 minute to guess the bear. And Winnie, you're up first.
Okay.
So let's put a minute on the clock. Okay, your first one is a noun. The story is about a bear and a beanstalk. The bear is the villain in the fairy tale.
The boy? Giant?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Giant.
I was like, it's one or the other.
Okay, next one is a verb. The rain bared our plans for a picnic outdoors. The bad news completely bared her good mood.
Ruined.
Yes, ruin. Yeah, ruin is the
Oh,
verb,
okay.
but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, last one is a phrase. It's 3 words. Where's my phone? I bear it bare. She looked all over, but she bear the keys bare.
Couldn't find it anywhere. Just saw it here. Misplaced it somewhere.
You were really close on the first one.
Just saw it here. Misplaced it. It disappeared.
I don't know. It's can't find anywhere. You said couldn't.
Oh, I
So-
don't think it counts.
Yeah, so I don't know. Where's my phone? I can't find it anywhere. She looked all over, but she can't find the keys anywhere.
Ah, that was so close.
Yeah, but you got giant and you
Okay,
got
yeah,
ruined.
Yeah, okay. Your turn, Carolyn. Okay. Now, for timer, yep. Noun, 1 word. The prince scaled the bear to rescue the princess. Germany is famous for its many beautiful bears.
Wall?
Close.
Oh no, scaffolding?
Many beautiful bears.
Pass.
Yeah. Verb, 1 word. If you wait here, I'll bear soon with an answer. He bared home after several months away.
Return.
Yes.
Okay.
Phrase, 2 words. The alarm warns people to bear during a tornado. When the typhoon hit, we all bared bear.
I want to say evacuate, but that's just one word. Can we go back to the first one?
Yes.
I think
the prince scaled the bear to rescue the princess.
Is it castle?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
The alarm warns people to bear during a tornado. When the typhoon hit, we all bared bear.
I want to say get out, but I know that's not it.
Something else. Ah! The alarm warns people to take shelter during a tornado. When the typhoon hit, we all took shelter.
Take shelter. Okay.
It's always the similar ones.